everyone, welcome to this new lectures. Today we will talk about class. At the end of this lecture, students should be able to know what's class and how to use a class and how to construct a class and how to add attributes and method to the class. In the last lecture we talked about OOP and object-oriented programming and its concepts, and we say that OOP consists of attribute and operations, and we are human very good in knowing the object, because we deal with the object in every day in our life, so we can distinguish objects from other things. So we will use this concept in programming. So we will use object-oriented programming. We use programming by creating these objects. So to create objects in programming, first we have to create the class. What is the class? Class is the blueprint that describe an object and define attributes and operations or methods for the object. So the classes look like the blueprint that describe the object. So imagine that we want to build a house, for example. So before we build the house, we have to make the design and the drawings on the paper. So after we make the design and the drawings for the paper, we can build the house. So the house will be the object, and design and drawing, this will be the blueprint for that house. So for example, if another want to build the same house, he will just take the same design, and he will create another house. So this has become the second object. So classes use abstraction usually to make available only the elements essential to define the objects. So abstractions is used to, as I said before, to hide or protect some of the attributes or method that you want to offer for the object user. So if you want to protect some variables or some attributes or methods, we will use the abstractions. And classes also use encapsulation to enforce abstraction. So to do these abstractions, we have to cover all the attributes and method in one body, so we can enforce the abstraction. So encapsulation is how to cover the attributes and method in one body. So this is how to use the classes. So imagine, for example, when we want to use a variable, and this variable is from integer type or string type or float type, this is a type. So if you want to build a custom type for ourselves, so it will be using classes, because classes are types, like if you want to add our own custom type, and the object is the instance of that class. So without objects, you cannot use the class. Your books say you cannot drive the drawing of the car. So if you want to drive the car, you have to make the object from the drawing of the car. An object is an instance of the class. So if we have the design or the drawing for the class, for the car. So if you want to use this car, we have to make the object. So we take an object and we build it based on the design and drawing that we make. So this is the blueprint, and this is the object that we can have many objects as we want, so but with the same class. So the object will be the instance of the class. We cannot use the class directly. We have to use the object that constructed from the class. Objects have the following qualities. Usually identity. Objects are distinguishable from one another. As I said before, we can distinguish objects from one another by the attributes. So the attributes have the properties, the facilities that distinguish one object from another. And the behaviors, every object usually perform the tasks that require from him, and the state objects store information that can vary over time. This is an example of our classes, and from now on go we will use this box as representation of the class. So this is like a class, and this class is called bank account, and have 3 attributes and 3 methods. So this 3 attribute is name and behavior, number and balance, and the behavior or the methods for this class will be deposit, withdraw, and show info. So this is an example of the classes, and if we want to make an object or instance from that class, we can make one instance, second instance, and third instance. And for the first instance, we can store the information like the owner Ali, and then his number is 054, and the balance is $19, and the other instances have different information. So we can differentiate between the objects by its properties or attributes, and all these instances we can perform the tasks here, with whether it's deposit money or withdraw money, or we just show info or print the information. This is another class. So this class is called car, and it has 4 attributes and 3 methods. So here the owner name and the number and the type and the speed, these are the attributes of this class. And this is a drive, stop, and print info, print profile. This is the method for that class, and these are the instances from that class. These are the instances or the object from that class. So okay, how to write class in Python? So to write class in Python, we use the term class, then space, then we give the class name. So the class name will be defining the following class. So we have to name the class as we name the variables and the functions. For example, it cannot start with number, and cannot have a space, and it cannot have a special symbols like the semicolon or other symbols, for examples. And besides, cannot be a reserved word like a class. Class is reserved, so we cannot name a class as a class. So here, this is my first class, and we use term pass if we want to make an empty class. So this is pass. So after we in the body in the class, we don't want to define anything, so just call it pass. This is empty class. So this is how to write a class, and how to write attribute inside the class. So usually we define variables as we want. So for example, in the previous example here, we have this class car, and we have 4 attributes. These are owner name, number, type, and speed. So when you define the attributes, you can just assign the default value. For example, this is owner name, must be string, so we make a quotation. So we can insert the string here, or we can make none. This is mean that this variable can accept any type of information, whether integer, float, or string. So like this, we define in the body in the class. So we have a class car, and inside the body of the class, we define the attributes that we want to use inside that class. And for the method, we can define just function, normal function, but inside the body of the class. And if the function is empty, we say pass, like here. So we have if we go back here, we have drive, stop, print profile. We have 3 methods. So here we define 3 methods: drive, stop, and print profile. Okay, accessing instance. Usually every method in the class should receive at least one argument. This argument usually is called self. So if you want to use the if you want the method is empty, so we can leave it like this. But usually every method must receive at least one argument. This argument represents the instance that created from that class. So usually that argument called self. Some call it this, but usually it's called self. So if you want to access the attribute in the same instance of that class, so we can use the self argument to access the attribute from the same instance. I will show you if we have more than one instance. So every instance will have its own private attributes. By these arguments, we can access the attributes and methods of the object instance. So at the end, the class look like this. So we have a class car, and we have the 4 attributes, and we have the 3 method, and this method it's perform some tasks. It's print the profile of that class. So here we can access the owner name and the number and the type that we define in the beginning of the class by using self argument. And how to make instance, how to make objects after we construct the class. As we say, the class is the blueprint. So how to make instance from that class. So for example, if we go to the main program and we want to make instance, we can just name a variables and equal to the class name. So here the instance name is BMW, for example, and the class is like a type that we create new to define. After we write the variable name with dot, so we will have the attribute and method that we define inside the class. So here we have, for example, this is one attribute, second attribute, third attribute, and this is the fourth. And we have 3 methods: the drive and print profile and the stop. So we can access all these attributes and method by using dot sign. And this is examples how we can assign information to the instance. So here we have BMW is the object from the type of car or the class of car, and BMW.owner name, for example, Ali, and BMW.number is 12345, and BMW.type is 3, and the speed is 280. And we can call any method inside that class. So BMW.print profile, so at the end we'll print this information that we assign to that instead of the object. Okay, we can go to the Python here. So this is the class, and as I said, this is the one instance. So the class is the blueprint or the design that we want for that object, and this one object I can repeat this information for another instance. So here, like example, for I will say okay, Kia, for example, as a equal to car. So this is I create object called Kia from type of car or class car, and here I will use Kia. Here I will say Kia Rondo, for example. The speed must be 220, and the name of the owner is Muhammad. Okay, so here I will print the information also for the Kia. I will make separator here. So here I will say print why this is I make the big capital, so it's okay. So this is the key information, and these are here we say the BMW information. So here we in the main program we create two instance or two objects from the same class, BMW equal to class, and when we say dot we can access we can access all the information. So here we have owner name, we can access all the information, all the attributes and methods inside that class by using the dot sign. Here we have some other attributes and information we can access directly, and also the print provides the method inside that class. We call it the first time when we use the BMW as an object, and the second time when we use Kia as object. So we will run. Okay, we have here the BMW information, and this is Ali and the Z3 with 280 speed, and this is the Kia with Muhammad, and we didn't change to 280 also Rondo 280 speed. So today we finish, and the main idea is how to construct a class. So from now on go we will use as the box I show you, and you have to write the class like this inside the attributes and the methods, and we will have one exercise. We will solve this exercise in the class, so please guys try to solve this, and thanks for listening.